Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Blue Maxima, and I'm here checking out some demos from Steam Next Fest. This is going to be 8 demos this time. I usually like to get around a dozen, but if I'm being honest with you, the haul wasn't great this time. I got more demos than ever, but most of them just weren't to my taste and didn't keep me entertained for more than a minute at a time before I decided, screw this, I don't want to play this anymore, and just hit Alt F4. So we've got 8 demos here, and I figured I'd just take you through them, show you a little bit of gameplay, and give you my impressions, so enjoy! So first up, we've got Card Shark. Now, this is by the guy who made Reigns, which was that Tinder-esque game where you're swiping people left or right to approve or disapprove what they have to say, and it affects your resources and takes you through a story. I actually really liked those games. So, to see that he's got this new game here, which is also based around cards, but in an entirely different way, has my interest, because it takes place in 1800s France. You are a mute kid who suffers from strokes, or seizures, I believe, one of the two, sorry, and you also get taught how to cheat at cards in multitudes of different ways with neat little rhythm mini games, and it's got a story going on in the background about how you're being taught all these tricks by thieves, and it just caught my interest. I played the demo for nearly half an hour before I realized, whoa, I've played this for a lot longer than I was expecting to. Also helps that the game looks and sounds great too. It knows when it needs to bring in the sound and when it can just settle back and let the ambience kick in. And the graphics look really good too, at least for an indie development of this kind, especially considering what Reigns used to look like. So yeah, this one impressed me, and I'm more than happy to give it a passing grade in my usual way of doing things around here. So I will admit that Deflector is a little bit low on this list for me personally. It's probably like the least interesting demo overall that still made it into the top 8 that I've got going on here. But at the same time, I still just enjoyed it. It has some really smoothly done mechanics. It's clearly been a polished game, unlike the majority of games I ended up playing over the course of this Steam Next Fest. The special effects especially look good, but the rest of it all stands out. You don't have a problem with identifying what's friend and what's foe. It's got a neat little twist on the sort of skill tree system where you have to build out your own paths to like the things that let you improve your skills overall using different ships, and it keeps things interesting in the upgrade sense of things. It's just smooth. It's really just a smooth, playable, and enjoyable experience, and with that, I don't really have that much bad to say about it, which is why it made my top 8. McPixel. Oh man, the first McPixel is really old at this point. I don't even remember how old it was, but it was like a really early indie game. And this here, McPixel 3, not 2, yes, that's a joke, it's basically just kind of nuts. It's a point-and-click adventure game, but they all have very tight time limits. You have a bunch of different scenarios you go through trying to save the day, and depending on what you interact with and how you interact with it, it can end up ending in one of many different ways, and the endings are trackable. The thing about it, though, is that it's just kind of stupid, but really enjoyably stupid. It fits a nice balance between not going too over the top while still being silly enough to gather a laugh, and it's just completely random sometimes what'll happen, but it always ends up being entertaining, and that's the best part. I never found myself thinking, oh, this is too stupid, this is so far out of left field that it just doesn't make any sense. No, it's very tightly designed to be not completely stupid and still pretty funny, and I always enjoy something that's a bit of both of that. Roto Force. It's kind of like games like Downwell, which have one really specific mechanic. In this case, it's like this square arena, or sometimes a circle arena, and you're on the edges of it, and you have the ability to jump between different edges and then shoot out into the middle of the arena in order to kill enemies. And it's really smooth. It's genuinely incredibly smooth. Making jumps is very simple. Firing at the enemy is very simple. And just maintaining agility and momentum while all these enemies are coming in and trying to attack you and trying to overwhelm you with individual shots is just some really satisfying, fast-paced arcade action gameplay. There's very little for me to criticize about it, except maybe the fact that it's a bit too pixelated. I appreciate a little bit more detail on the sprites, but like outside of that, it's genuinely just a lot of fun, and I enjoyed playing through the entirety of the demo world they give you in the demo, so there you go. Silt. Oh, Lord, Silt. Now, it's basically Limbo, but it's underwater, and you've got animal possession powers a la Oddworld Abe's Odyssey, but the atmosphere just sells it. Even the screenshots just don't do this game enough justice. The auditory experience, whether it be the way you move through the water and how you can hear it, how the fish move around you, the way that the backgrounds are designed, so, you know, the way that they layer on top of each other, and just their general quality, because the art in this game is really good. And when they manage to put all of this together into a surprise moment, like the big fish coming out of the wall and just biting your head off, it sells that atmosphere so well, and it is genuinely well done. I wish the puzzles are a little bit, like, more difficult and not just so blatantly obvious, but then again, it's probably the beginning of the game, but yeah, the puzzles were a little bit too simple for me, although they do have signs of being quite clever about it going on in there. But yeah, otherwise, just the presentation alone on this is just killer. Really well done. And now we've got TrinityS, which is basically an anime game, but it has an interesting concept that I've always wanted to see just expanded into a game itself. Take bosses from MMOs, like say raids or ends of dungeons or what have you, and turn that, their patterns, the fact that you have to avoid them, picking when to use your abilities at the right time, turn that all into a game all on its own. And it does work. It's a little bit less complicated than I would like because you've only got 3 abilities to start with. When you do bosses, you will be able to like unlock more abilities, and I don't know if they plan on letting you have equipment or stuff like that. But the concept is good, and based on the one boss I took the time to fight, it seems like they're doing okay with it. So this one is one to keep an eye on, in my personal opinion. There's always one first-person shooter in these, isn't there? There was bloody Severed Steel last time. There were a couple of others. I think, oh god, what was it? That game that was based off Thief. I can't remember the name of it. But Turbo Overkill is so good. It's really fast. The theme is really nice. They've done a good job with it. Enemy AI could do to be a little bit smarter and a little bit more engaging, but there's always a lot of them. So the challenge comes from what the biggest threat is and not the enemies themselves, really. The weaponry is really cool, and they've all got neat little alt fires. You've got the ability to augment yourself, although that doesn't show up much in the 2 demo levels that I took the time to play. But of course, the absolute best feature is the chainsaw leg, in which if you slide hard enough into enemies, you will cut them into a million tiny pieces. Always satisfying when you manage to pull that off. It's just another really good retro-themed first-person shooter, and who can say no to that? And finally, we have Zombie Rollers. There's like a subtitle to it, but I don't care. It's basically a pinball game, and you can kind of tell that my bias for digital pinball with neat ideas is coming through. But there's a little bit of an RPG aspect to this one. You've got swappable powers, items, and stats and what have you. There's tons of different levels to go through, each of which they have their own objectives and stuff. But all the different tables I've come across so far have all been really, really interactive. They've all got their own special targets to hit, collectibles to pick up, and of course fighting off the zombies is neat to the point where if one gets close enough and you're fast enough on the reflection, you can use the trigger and just bash them away. It's actually a really clever little thing. So it just ended up being satisfying to play. The ball physics are a little bit slow, like you can tell it's actively slowing down while it's rolling down onto the flippers to give you the opportunity to shoot where you need to, which isn't too bad of a thing, but it would be nice to have like a faster ball as a sort of challenge mode. But look, I liked what I played. It plays well enough and I can just appreciate it, and I want to check it out when it eventually comes out. And with Zombie Rollers, those are my 8 demos. So with that said, I like Steam Next Fest. It wasn't the best haul this time, but I'll be more than happy to give it another shot in the next few seasons. I'm assuming the next one's going to be around June or July, and I'll be more than happy to pull out some more demos. So if you like what you see, feel free to... No, I'm not even going to do the like, subscribe, comment, smash that bell button. I don't like it. I hate doing it, but apparently it works. For some reason it works. Anyway, this has been Blue Maxima, and I'll see you all... Oh yeah, the writing in Zombie Rollers is absolutely terrible. This has been Blue Maxima. I'll see you all next time.